I was treated unfairly my entire life because of my golden child sister, and I finally got a sense of revenge on my wedding day. From childhood, my parents always favored my sister. Their favoritism was obvious. If she accused me of something, they believed her and punished me. But if I accused her, even with proof, they'd give her a lighter punishment and scold me anyway. Even my birthday celebrations reflected the bias. My cake always had to be her favorite flavor, and my parents pretended they didn't notice that I disliked it. They bought her more gifts than me, and insisted we do activities she wanted, even when it was supposed to be about me. My sister grew up spoiled, and often treated me poorly. As kids, she mostly ignored me, but by our teenage years, things got worse. She ended up with no friends, and her behavior deteriorated. Whether it was due to her own cruelty or circumstances, I can't say. My parents would boast about her accomplishments, but constantly point out my flaws. Eventually, she started targeting me more aggressively, accusing me and my friends of wrongdoing. My parents restricted my social life with excuses like, "Your sister says they Sept are not good people," or "Why can Sept you be more like her and enjoy family time?" What saved me was my extended family. I got along well with my cousins, despite the age gap. At one gathering, when asked why I couldn't attend an event, my younger self bluntly said it was because I wasn't allowed to have friends since my sister had none. The adults confronted my parents, and although I was grounded for a month, they eventually gave me some freedom. My sister ended up changing schools, likely embarrassed by her lack of friends, and made new friends there, but she never left me alone. My life remained difficult. Her friends would bully me at home, which my parents dismissed as light teasing. I became close to my cousins because my parents never dared treat them the same way. Dating was another challenge. My first boyfriend came to warn me that my sister was flirting with him. She tried to paint herself as innocent, claiming he had made advances, and of course my parents believed her. This pattern repeated with later boyfriends. My sister accused them of flirting, and my parents assumed I was incapable of good judgment. Throughout this, my sister received more privileges. She had more spending money, looser curfews, and more freedom. Even when I reached her age, I was not given the same treatment, and my parents would make excuses or deny it. When it came to college, the favoritism continued. My sister went to a mediocre school with no scholarship, but my parents celebrated every minor achievement of hers while downplaying mine. They insisted that I start working after high school because my sister's tuition took priority. I calmly accepted their stance and continued preparing for college on my own. Eventually, I earned a full scholarship to a decent college. I announced it publicly, including a polite thank you to my parents so they couldn't stop me. At first, they were slightly proud, but then my sister tried to influence them again. I stayed firm, and nothing could prevent me from going. College became my chance at independence. During this time, I avoided introducing any partners to my family. My sister didn't finish college and returned home, paying no bills, while I was building my life independently. I started working, pursuing my studies, and eventually met my husband. My husband is the type who takes action immediately. I, on the other hand, tend to be meek and deferential in most situations. I lie awake at night, thinking of things I should have said or done, often crying when I'm angry. My husband reacts instantly, loves drama, and thrives on resolving conflicts. If he doesn't respond right away to a slight, it's a sign that he's plotting something much bigger. He encouraged me to post here and even suggested a nuclear revenge board, but we agreed our plan wasn't quite that extreme. People often wondered why I ended up with him, but just because I couldn't act like him didn't mean I didn't admire it. I loved that he would do what I couldn't, and that he treated people well, as long as they treated him fairly. When we discussed marriage, we agreed we didn't care much about a lavish ceremony. Our budget was better spent on a dream honeymoon in Europe. Since my family lived mostly in my hometown and his family was spread out, we decided to hold the wedding there. We could also manage weekend trips for planning, and his work schedule allowed us some flexibility. After sending the engagement announcement and save the date, my parents demanded to meet my fiancée. I wanted to grow a spine and refuse, but the distance had softened me, and I considered maybe my parents weren't so bad. My husband, however, looked like I'd canceled Christmas when I told him we'd at least ensure my parents were never alone with him. He came prepared. He had a high-quality recorder to capture everything. He was excited at the thought of defending me, confronting my sister, and having proof to expose any inappropriate behavior. When he returned, he was euphoric. "Babe, you won't believe what they tried to pull. We can totally screw them over. There are so many possibilities." I wanted to hear the recording, but he wisely insisted I listen to him first to avoid misunderstanding. When he met my family, instead of flirting, they sat him down and proclaimed they would fund my wedding, but only if my sister got to walk down the aisle first. They claimed it was only fair for a younger sister to have the experience of wearing a wedding dress, taking photos, and even having a cake at the venue. Here speds my husband's sad side. "Hell hath no fury like a pro-revenge lurker," scorned. My wife paints me as quick-witted, but I almost short-circuited when they suggested this. I had a list of insults ready, but something whispered, "Sex, string them along." Sex, so I said I needed to think it over, and left before revealing our plan. Back to me. My husband recounted my parents' audacious demand with a grin, and I had the recording as proof. It shocked me. Distance had softened my view of them, but even I didn't expect this. His insistence on a revenge angle kept me grounded and prevented me from spiraling. We brainstormed ways to retaliate, from outrageous to feasible. We consulted his more level-headed brother, who warned that some ideas were risky or could get us sued. Eventually we settled on a benign but satisfying plan: pretend to agree, hire security, and prevent my sister from entering. Everything he did was discussed with me first. He approached my parents, claiming I might resist, but he didn't see an issue. To avoid family conflict, he suggested a compromise. They could help pay, and I would feel obligated to stay calm during the ceremony. My parents were shocked, and my sister literally skipped with joy, believing it a victory. Because of my past distrust and need to monitor him, nothing about the plan was written down. We communicated carefully, always avoiding text messages that could be used against us. My husband pretended to negotiate with my sister while secretly ensuring security. He even handled attempts at flirting from my sister, appearing conflicted to sell the story. We were so focused on revenge that our wedding ended up extravagant, yet we barely spent a dime ourselves. My husband enjoyed the planning more than I could have imagined, even traveling to discuss minor details with my parents. The day of the wedding, my parents and sister had planned to sneak her in while everyone was seated, but by the time I would notice, it would be too late. My husband had prepared leftover fabric from my dress alterations, was shown to my parents as proof he'd ruined the dress. Real security remained hidden initially. As guests arrived, only a woman with a guest list appeared. Only after my parents settled in did we reveal the true security. A professional bodyguard instructed not to let my sister enter, with a generous tip promised for keeping the plan confidential. Soon, the moment arrived. My parents received a text that my sister was less than 5 minutes away, so my dad signaled for the ceremony to start. My bridesmaids, prepped to follow his lead, did so without checking with me. Once everyone took their places, my dad stood at the entrance, waiting for me. Meanwhile, a friend who wasn't in the wedding party texted me to get ready, avoiding suspicion. My husband's ally, eager to stir drama, was also ready to help, even though she wasn't a bridesmaid. When the bridal song began, the doors opened and I entered. My dad was shocked to see me. He tried to look behind me, but couldn't see the venue entrance, so he had no idea what happened to my sister. Then his phone rang. It was her. He muttered something and confusion rippled through the room. The friend loudly asked what happened. I tearfully said, "He told me it wasn't supposed to be me. We had agreed I would say this if my dad abandoned me, to make him look bad." The tears weren't entirely acting. I was genuinely trying not to cry. The friend then ran off to create chaos with security, ensuring my dad couldn't return to stop the ceremony. Soon my mom left as well. My husband's father, forewarned, ran over and took my arm. His desperate rush made me smile. I walked down the aisle as whispers spread about the unfolding drama. When I reached my husband, everything was fine. He joked that my sad face deserved an Oscar and reassured me he'd handle my parents. We got married without further issues. My parents didn't return, and although many guests came and went, no one told me what was happening. Later, my husband went out and returned with a dramatic expression, hiding it to avoid breaking character. According to reports from friends, family, security, and my husband, when my sister arrived in a wedding dress, the security refused entry, telling her she must be at the wrong venue because there was already a bride. We tipped him well, as promised. My dad threatened the security guard, claiming he wasn't authorized to work there. The guard reminded him he was hired by us and simply following instructions. My dad then demanded my sister be let in, but the friend arrived to stall and insult my sister. Soon my mom and others arrived, but the plan was already ruined. My parents could only try damage control as everyone present was horrified. They insisted my husband orchestrated everything, but he denied it, demanding proof they couldn't provide. Meanwhile, my sister was screaming and kicking on the floor. My dad appeared ready to attack my husband, but security and witnesses held him back. My husband calmly called out their poor parenting and refused to let their plans ruin the wedding. No one believed them, and some guests even recorded parts of the chaos. Watching my parents and sister get a taste of their own medicine was one of the best wedding gifts I could imagine. My mother was crying. My dad alternated between purple and white, and my sister remained on the floor. They claimed my husband was in on it, but with no proof. No one believed them. Eventually, they were forced to leave, my dad dragging my sister out. Throughout the night, no one told me what happened. Guests made an extra effort to be cheerful, and my husband kept a mock angry face, only briefly, before smiling. After the celebration, we went to our hotel to rest before our honeymoon. My parents tried to pay for our plane tickets, but we refused, worried they could interfere. Since then, they've tried contacting me, but I ignored them. My sister sent an unhinged message, blaming me for her humiliation and calling my husband a two-faced snake. My husband took screenshots of all messages and sent them to our family group chat, warning of harassment and defamation. The family assured him they would handle it, and since then, we've had peace. Do I know why my parents treated me this way? I've wondered all my life, and still don't know. My best guess is that I was unplanned. While my sister was wanted and celebrated, financial strain and surprise may have caused resentment, but it's speculation. What matters is that their treatment was unwarranted. We also believe they never intended for this scenario to succeed. My sister may have thrown a tantrum over me marrying first, and my parents likely suggested the aisle idea as a way to avoid paying for my wedding. When my husband agreed to our plan, they couldn't backtrack without angering my sister. At least once, my family failed to ruin something meaningful to me, and I got back at them in a way they never expected. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more real-life stories.